He's massive over here. I don't think he can go unnoticed in the city or out in public. It's great. I love visiting restaurants with him because if Cheslin's in the restaurant, you're more than likely to get a couple of drinks free or a meal free with him. So it's great. Thanks for having me on.
No, no, mate, it's an absolute pleasure. My word, mate, it's great to have you. Firstly, we don't want to talk too much about lockdown, but are you missing home?
No, not really. It's been quite a good time to be during lockdown. It was great having summer weather and to get in the garden and actually spend some time with the kids. It was great. It was great family time, considering what was happening around the world. But no, missing home, not really. I'm actually quite enjoying it, and the family are enjoying the time here in France.
Why are you so settled in France? And I asked that question. I played a season in France. I was there when Rennie Ranger was there, and watching how players live and adapt to the culture in France. Players find it difficult, right? A lot of them do, but you haven't. You seem to just embedded yourself there, absolutely loved it, and the fact that you're still there and you're captain speaks volumes.
Yeah, I guess the club have a huge part to play in this. They've been welcoming, like people around the city. They've been great. So for us, it was just a natural transition just to move here. It felt like home from day one, and the club have been awesome. But I think me and my wife, we learned a little bit moving to Japan a few years back, and we kind of moved with one foot still at home and still not really settling. And I guess that's what didn't make us settle as well in Japan. So when we came over here, we knew we were just gonna settle and make it home, and it's been great ever since we've been here. So no, it's been awesome.
And how is your French? Because the communicator, Toulouse is a very French club notoriously. I know there's a few international players there, but how is your French when you're communicating with passion?
Oh, mate, I'd say I'm not as good as I should be for the time that I've been here, because a lot of the boys and the players, even the coaches, they're all quite good at speaking English. So a lot of them, initially, their first response is just to speak English to make it easier. But a lot of the foreigners at the club were making an effort to get the lessons under the belts, and just to make sure that we're able to communicate on the field and also around the club. But it's a tough language to pick up. But I'm at the stage where I can understand it a lot better than I can respond. So I'm slowly getting there.
And then, why do you think other players would struggle? I mean, what's your take on it? I mean, I've got my perspective on it. I've spoken about it a few times, but for yourself, if you speak to mates and stuff like that maybe haven't settled, what do you think the reason is? I mean, choice of club, potentially, the language, maybe one foot at home still.
Yeah, I can't really speak about other clubs, but I'd say that the culture shock is probably a big thing. Moving over here, I've loved the French life, but I can see how it can be quite a shock to other people, and really missing home. That could play a big part in guys not really settling and enjoying their time. But yeah, I'm just glad that it hasn't played a part in me and my family's transition. But yeah, I guess it's a case by case scenario, and yeah.
Yeah, but how are the French dealing with this pandemic that we find ourselves in? I know there's fans at some of the games, but then the Castres game was called off. There was all this interaction around Romain Poit coughing, and it kind of caused a bit of a stir in his match. But how are they dealing with it from that perspective? I mean, as players, are you being tested regularly? What's the setup over there?
Yeah, so we get tested twice a week. And there are, like, our club, we've got a lot of strict regulations that we have to abide by around visiting public areas, restaurants, and making sure that we're just as careful as possible, because we've got a lot of cases around Toulouse, and just I think also around the city they've slowly moving in a few more regulations around being in public places in certain amount of numbers. So I think they're taking the right precautions, but especially our club, we're just making sure that we do our part so that guys are still able to play and we're still able to have games.
Yeah, and what they're saying about the fan situation, because I saw there was a few fans at some of the games. What's the situation with that now?
So we're limited to 5,000 fans a game. So it's great to be able to have some fans there. But I could imagine if things get a little bit serious around the city or around the country, I could imagine that those numbers will wither. But at the moment, it's still at 5,000, and hopefully it stays that way, and hopefully things get a lot better.
Yeah, is there a worry there with the players or not? I mean, I don't 100% know what's happened in France in terms of salaries, how much you can say or whatever, but I mean, here it was a bit of a debacle. You know, lads getting 25% pay cuts, some were getting 10, some were getting none. So there was a lot of stuff kind of unfolding. I'm just trying to dig into a little bit of the politics, if there were any, because I know what French rugby can be like, having played the season there. It can be a little bit like the Wild Wild West. I mean, have you found that, or has that generally been taken care of quite amicably?
Oh, it was a good process with our club. I heard a lot of different numbers being thrown around with other clubs, but our club, it was a long process to be able to come to an agreement with a percentage of our salaries that was going to be deducted. And at the end of the day, a lot of the players were quite happy with the result, and especially with the hit that the club and with the current climate that was happening, we knew that we had to make a sacrifice, and we were happy in the end. So different to a lot of different other clubs, but just speaking for our club, we were quite happy with the result.
Yeah, good on you. Mate, let's leave that negativity behind. We've ticked the boxes that we needed to tick. Matt, again, watching your career unfold at Toulouse, I think it's amazing for the reasons that we've just spoken about. I think, you know, to have an all-black, an established one, carving up over there is amazing. But it isn't just you at Toulouse that's settled in, who's an international foreigner. Mate, you've got Cheslin Kolbe there. I don't know whether he makes the headlines in Toulouse as he makes headlines over here and worldwide, but you've played with some great players, right, Jerome? Some unbelievable players, the best in the world. Where does he rank?
Oh, he's definitely one of the best players that I've ever been lucky enough to play with. It's very rare that you get a player that's headhunted during a game, and even when he is headhunted, he gets the ball and he does something with it. I don't think there's a player in the game right now that can beat anyone one-on-one. So it's just incredible. And sometimes when the lungs are going a bit and you see him do his magic, it definitely gives you a bit of a boost.
Yeah. How is it? I mean, is he big into his training? Does he work on his game? I know, I mean, you know, as everything that's going on at the minute, some of the games have been a little bit bland. Not down in New Zealand, we'll come on to that, but watching him with the ball, I mean, it just lights it up and just makes you realise why we love the game so much. I mean, it's not all about mauling and brawling, which I enjoyed, but, you know, does he work on these things, or is he that naturally gifted, or a bit of both?
I think it's a bit of both, but he definitely does work hard on a lot of aspects of his game. I think it's great for our team culture as well to be able to see someone of that stature just work hard at his craft, and it brings some good habits into our younger guys. So, yeah, definitely, I see some of those things are naturally natural talent, naturally gifted, but I do see him work hard on a lot of things that people might not think he's good at. Like he's pretty physical for a small guy, and he definitely works hard at the tackle and the breakdown and a lot of those tinkle toes things. I think that's just a naturally gifted talent.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's his profile like over there? Is he a superstar? Is he going under the radar? He wears a scrum cap, so they might not recognise him. But is he huge? Is he?
No, he's massive over here. I don't think he can go unnoticed in the city or out in public. It's great. I love visiting restaurants with him, because if Cheslin's in the restaurant, you're more than likely to get a couple of drinks free or a meal free with him. So it's great.
Mate, that's what happens with the best. That's what happens, I'm sure. I love these segues. Talking of the best, we'll talk a little bit about the All Blacks and kind of where they are now. A load of changes in the management. A new squad's been obviously put out there with some new faces. A real success with the Aotearoa and the North-South competition. But a lot of pressure, right? I think the question that a lot of people are asking and the pressure that the All Blacks are under is, can they live up to the team that has been before them for the last 15 years? Obviously not the World Cup, even though they were good in the World Cup bar the England game. But how much pressure's on this squad, and have they got the capabilities to do something over the next few years?
Yeah, I think so, 100%. I think with the new talent and the fresh faces that they've got, I think that the standards will be there from the past teams that have been there, and I think Fozzie will know what's expected of the players to be able to reach those heights. So, no, I think they'll be excited to be able to carry on what's been done in the past. But I think it's also important for them not to be dragged down with what the successes of the past teams. I think it's important for them to just try and pave their own identity as a new team and a new management structure as well. So I'm sure they'll have a few structures in there that like residue from the last few teams or the last few setups that have been in the All Black environment, but I'm sure they're more than enthusiastic to try and create their own path in their own style and identity in that jersey.
Yeah, and there's always, when you're watching the very best teams, and the All Blacks being obviously the obvious one over the last few years, there's comparables all the time, isn't there? You obviously have Richie McCaw wearing the number 7 jersey, and no one can get away from the fact that he wore that jersey for so long, and you need to be Richie McCaw to wear that jersey. From an outside looking in, Sam Cane's been under a bit of pressure for whatever reason. I think the guy's unbelievable. He's come back from a ridiculously bad injury. How much pressure is it for captains over there? How much pressure is he going to be under to kind of not just fulfil the captaincy, but to fill the number 7 jersey, which is synonymous, the All Blacks number 7 jersey in world history and heritage?
Oh, there's always going to be a bit of pressure no matter what jersey you're wearing in that black environment, All Black environment. But I'd say there would be a little bit more on him being the captain. But I know Sam, and I know how he operates. He'll relish the challenge, and also the other leaders that are in that environment as well. They'll help him steady the ship as well. So I think Sam, it's just he'll just be focusing on his performances when he is on the field, and that'll do all the talking for him, and I'm sure he'll do that. I know he's up for the challenge.
And then any players you watched during the comp down there, the North-South? I mean, I could sit here and try and reel names off that I've written down, but I didn't even know them. I'm like, mate, this lad's incredible. He's amazing. My goodness, how old is this lad? I mean, the level's ridiculous. And again, you can get carried away because of the All Blacks and stuff. But is there anyone for you that stands out where you're thinking, yeah, this lad's got a big future?
Oh, mate, I'm biased because I've always been watching my Blues boys play, and especially around the loose forward area. I've been looking at Hoskins, Satutu, and especially Akira Ioane. I've always wanted him to be in the environment full time, and now he's got the chance to be able to show his wares. And I'm looking forward to them to get their chance on the international stage, and I'm sure they'll be long time internationals. And also Caleb Clark, he's got a lot of potential and he's got a big future ahead of him as well. Someone that just likes to go out there and express himself, and that's all you can ask for a young man.
Yeah, I mean, this Hoskins fella, there was talk of him being English qualified. I think everyone jumped on the bandwagon. Have you told him otherwise, or has anyone got in his ear and said, mate, he's in the squad now, so that kind of says it all. But has he asked for the opinion of anyone, or is it a no-go for him?
No, I haven't really spoken to him about it. Every time I just give him the old Instagram message about a good game and congratulating him on a great season. But never really spoken to him about the eligibility and stuff like that. And I'm sure his dad be in his ear about if it's not the All Blacks, it's Fiji. So, no, he's had a great season, and and he's had a lot of headlines, and rightly so. The way he's playing, he's just going out there and expressing himself.
Yeah, mate, ridiculous. We'll talk a little bit about the Rugby Championship that's back. I don't know if you caught any of the Australia games. I didn't. And I say that in kind of tongue in cheek and a bit of jest because I'm chatting to you and I know there's a natural rivalry between the two. But can Australia compete? I mean, they've been through the mill with everything on and off the field. They've obviously just lost their headline sponsor as well in Qantas. Not that that matters about the stuff that goes on in the field, but you know, would you be worried if you were an Australian, or are you worried that you could compete with the All Blacks?
No, I think Australia are in the same boat as the All Blacks. A lot of new potential, a new coaching staff, and I'm sure they'll be trying to find their own style and their own identity as well in the Wallabies jersey. And I've been lucky enough to work alongside Dave Rennie once, and just been around him, been around his ideas and the way he coaches, and I know he'll put a great side out there when they start playing. He'll create a great environment, and I'd be excited if I was an Australian fan to see what Dave Rennie can create in that Wallabies environment.
Australia, obviously South Africa, regular opponents of yours, but when you look back on the international scene and these kind of matches, who were your toughest teams that you played against? Who were the ones where you were like, right, yeah, like you were really, really up for it, like you wanted it bad?
Mate, I always wanted any Bledisloe match against Australia. I'd always be nervous against those in those games, because you don't want to be the team to lose a Bledisloe Cup. And we had the Bledisloe when I joined the All Blacks, and there was always either a midweek meeting or a presentation, and one of the sentences or one of the comments that would always get thrown out in those presentations is, you don't want to be part of the All Black group that loses the Bledisloe Cup. So those kind of games, it would always put you on edge. But I'd say some of the toughest games that I'd play would be in Johannesburg against the Springboks. Just the fans add to the pressure that you have, and the games, they live up to the hype. Just the physicality that you get in those games, and it's for the full 80. So I'd say those Springboks games in Johannesburg or Pretoria, they're immensely draining.
Any of the specific players you came up against? I mean, we could go through a long list of the Australian back row, but probably more so the South African back row. But any of the players where you're like, mate, he was proper hard, he was.
Yep, Skulkberger would be one at the top of my list. He's someone that runs at you full tip for the first minute to the 80th minute, and he doesn't stop. He doesn't stop running. He doesn't stop going, and he's one man that I have an enormous amount of respect for, just through the way he plays, but also after the game. He's the first one to come up to you and hand you a beer and just have a chat after the game. So, I'd say Skulkberger would be one that definitely sticks out for me.
Mate, absolutely. I was at Saracens with him, and I used to watch him in the gym in awe, the fact that he never lifted a weight for the 3 years he was there. He used to roll on this thing here that I've got to protect my back. He used to lie on that with a cup of coffee in his hand doing nothing. I'm like, how are you so hard? How are you so good at rugby? You don't do anything. Mate, he's an absolute phenomenon. And off the back of him and the kind of physicality that he played with, you've got this Enforcers tag. I don't know if you've got it, but I'm telling you have. How is it having a tag like that? Is it something that you like? Is it a bit comedy? Or is it something you actually like, I deserve that. That's what I've always meant to be and who I am.
I take it as a bit of comedy. On the game, in the games, I like to play physical, but there's definitely guys out there that play a lot harder than me. But I just take it as a bit of a laugh, because guys that know me off the field, I'm a bit of a clown and someone that likes to joke around. So it's been handed to me, so I don't walk around with it. I just like to say that everyone's got to have a nickname somehow.
Well, yours is like you'd be a proper enforcer. I was an enforcer, but almost like the comedy Joker, where you just go around grabbing people and looking scary. Yeah, it's a bit embarrassing, really, when I even talk about it, to be honest. Let's talk about the game at the weekend. It's great that Europe's back up and running. Comfortable-ish, I suppose, at the weekend for you guys. It's going to be tough this weekend, right? You're going to a tough place. Sandy Park, Exeter, flying. Obviously, very good English team. How much have you looked into them, or are you a team that kind of focus on yourself? I mean, there's a lot of quite similarities, really, especially up front with the physicality they've got. But how do you look at this Exeter team who are desperate to do something in Europe?
Oh, they're very well drilled, and I agree with you that there are a lot of similarities. They've got some really skillful backs and a couple of guys on the wings that have a lot of X factor as well, similar to us. So for us, I think we've just got to just go over there and make sure that we just keep to the way we like to play, and with a bit of mix of structure and a mix of French flair. But it's going to be a tough one because they've been on form for a few seasons now, and they're well coached, well drilled, and we're going to make sure that we're on our game.
Yeah, and how do you manage that as a leader in the team around the structure, right? Because that was one thing, having played in France, played against France, but played a few games in Europe as well, is that the structure that the French teams have is fairly limited, and that's great for some aspects. But when you get to these kind of knockout games against well-drilled teams that have got a little bit of extra, like Exeter's and your Saracens, how do you deal with that as a leader, where you don't want to run unless you can give the ball to Cheslin, but you need to kick and you need to go through something that's maybe not ingrained in some of the players naturally?
Like with the players that we have, we've got guys that just like to play what's in front of them and express themselves, and they're best at that. So I think for our team, it's just being able to adapt and flow in from structure and unstructured play. So I don't think we need to look at the occasion as a way to tighten the way we play. I think it's even more of an occasion to just relax and just play what suits us best. And I think we learned that last season when we played in Dublin against Leinster. I think we just tried to play too much like Leinster, and it didn't really work for us.
Well, absolutely. Well, I hope you play the Toulouse way at the weekend. It will be class. Lastly, just before you go, and I've got you, what does the future look like? You're going to play till you're 45. I know there's talk of this MLR franchise that hasn't actually happened just yet, but what does the future look like for you, mate?
No, I'm done after this season. I'm just taking it week by week and enjoying the journey while it lasts, and just enjoying the club, enjoying playing with the lads. But I don't think this old rig can go any longer. And it's time to develop the younger generation and the next guys coming through.
Have you got anything in the pipeline that you can share? What are you? I mean, you don't fancy a bit of Pro D2?
No. Oh, mate, we've got a couple of options, but the family are really enjoying the life here in France. So if a couple of opportunities come up here, and currently speaking to the club about the future. So nothing's in concrete at the moment, but would love to hang around here and live in France for a little while.
Well, mate, I wish you well, and I really appreciate the chat, mate. It's great to have someone of your calibre talking to us on. It's cool. We've called it All Access now because we're accessing players like yourself from all over the world. And good luck at the weekend, Europe, and everything going forward, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, mate.
Jerome, thanks very much, mate. Good luck this weekend, buddy.
Thanks, Jim.
Cheers, buddy.